G-A-R-Y, you ain't got no alibi. I'm Gary from the YouTube, and we're here to do some more tier lists in isolation. I'm joined, as always, by another Gary YouTube. Gary, how are you today?
Hi, Gary YouTube. It's great to be here with you, Gary YouTube. My headphones are a touch loud, so I'm just going to crank them down a bit, Gary YouTube. But I'm doing good, Gary YouTube. How is everything in your isolation station, Gary YouTube?
It's as good as it possibly can be under the circumstances. I can't complain. That's all I've got to say. But we're here today to rank some Money in the Bank cash-ins because, of course, Money in the Bank is coming up next weekend. Is it, Gary? Is it next weekend?
It is indeed, Gary. And I don't know how excited are you to watch your favourite wrestlers fighting through an office building. Oh, like Die Hard in reverse. Oh.
I can't wait, me. I'm very happy that this pandemic around the world at the minute is forcing them to be more creative than they have to be, and it's fantastic. I can't wait to see what they do. After the Boneyard and stuff, it's going to be fantastic, isn't it?
Apparently they've already filmed most of it, so it's going to be very exciting for whatever it is, yeah. I can't
Bloody
wait.
hell.
I'm all for it.
So we're here to speak about 23 cash-ins in the history of Money in the Bank. 4 unsuccessful attempts, the rest of them successful. Lots of great memories that we're not going to leave alone, Gary. So let's get cracking with the knocking and hit the intro, powers from above. So as you might know by now, but also you might not know, you might be brand new here, I don't know, we have several ranking tiers in this tier list thing. We have the best, lovely, 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 all right, just about bearable, and get in the bin, Gary. And we're starting, Gary, with one hell of a cash-in that just belongs in the best. I don't care what you have to say. It's Dolph Ziggler from the night after WrestleMania 29.
What I love about these, Gary, is that you already know where these are going. So I could just go, yeah, whatever, and just you could guide this for the whole day. But
No, there's a pantheon of Money in the Bank cash-ins.
You're a pantheon.
And Ziggler's, it's like the WrestleMania 17 of cash-ins, is it not?
Do you know
what? That's maybe the WrestleMania 19 of cash-ins.
Well, it's up there, but not completely the full ticket. You know what? I am going to put it in the best anyway. I was going to put it in the best anyway, but it's the fact that it was that night where it was like a double turn, wasn't it? It was on like Alberto Del River had become the champion and was meant to be a good guy, but no one really liked him. And Ziggler was the bad guy and everybody loved him. And the moment that Ziggler's music hit, and by this point, everybody is educated into what happens here. It's almost Pavlovian in the sense that as soon as that guy's music hits, you go, oh, they've got the briefcase. Oh, he's the champion and he's not very well in the ring. Oh, things are about to happen. So the pop was ear busting for when Ziggler ran out. And then, of course, Ziggler won the thing and went on to have a very non-title reign with it, which was the saddest part of all.
He was a victim of the times, wasn't he? Because there was sort of the time when the World Heavyweight Championship just wasn't a world title, was it?
It wasn't, but even so, it was the fact that he didn't really do anything with the belt. I feel like there wasn't enough stock behind Dolph Ziggler as the guy, and so we didn't really see him do much. In the history books, he will always be a former World Heavyweight Champion. But for me, the peak of his World Heavyweight title time is winning the darn thing as a cash-in, because it was everything that we love about a cash-in. It was all the popular cash-in tropes, and we're going to see all these as we go through the pantheon, as you said earlier, which is wounded champion, sudden hit of theme music, panic in the ring, hand over the briefcase, very slow ref shouts at the announcer, crowd pop, wrestler in the corner shaking violently, finish move, and other things. But they tease us one a touch longer than normal. But the best, without a doubt. Hoya in the best, Gary.
It's in the best, Gary. I just why don't they do it? Because the agenda was sort of just put to one side. They saw the organic crowd reaction for Ziggler. As you say, this was a babyface, no one wanted to win. A heel, everyone wanted to win. And the agenda by WWE was put to one side, which they should do more often, but they don't for some reason. Why do you think that is, Gary?
I think...
Why?
Why, Gary? Why? they didn't seem that invested in Dolph. I think they wanted to be, but even though he won the Money in the Bank briefcase, they didn't seem that invested in him as a thing. And my memory fails me as to what happened in the weeks after that led to the title reign being cut so short. But it felt like they'd given up on the Alberto experiment and as a top face. Like,
can you remember? Sorry, can you remember the match that Del Rio had just been through before Ziggler cashed in? Because I couldn't until I did a bit of research before we came on here.
Was it a triple threat, or am I?
It was a handicap match against Jack Swagger and Zeb Coulter.
Well, no wonder he was cream crackered. Oh.
Good old Uncle Zeb. So there we have it. Dolph Ziggler is in the best tier, and now we're moving on to a cash-in that happened just last year, Mr. Gary Ochob, and Alexa Bliss just wasn't taking any bollocks, was she? She won the briefcase, cashed it in later in the night.
You know what? I'm going to put this in the best as well, because on this one particular night, to the shock of everybody, that was the Gary YouTube Express going past, by the way. To the shock of everybody, Alexa Bliss became a world beater. Like, Bliss won the briefcase, and then it was Nia Jax and Ronda Rousey. And out comes Alexa Bliss, clatters Nia Jax, clatters Ronda Rousey, gets in the ring, clatters Nia Jax some more, and pins her. Like, where did this world-beating Alexa Bliss come from? She would get her comeuppance, granted, but on this night, it was like, all of us, it was as if somebody gave her superpowers backstage and went, okay, congratulations, you are now the Steve Austin of the women's division, but just for tonight. Go out there and just batter the biggest in terms of size, in terms of physique woman on the roster, and the biggest in terms of star on the women's roster as well. Just go batter them both, win the belt, get on with it. It's great. I thought it was the best. I loved it.
I'm going to disagree with you heavily here, just because of the narrative and the story. We were told coming into WrestleMania 34, whatever number it was, 34. We had sorry, this is 2018 or 2019, wasn't it? We had Nia Jax being bullied by Alexa Bliss, being called a fat bastard and stuff like that. I do believe she was. That was a direct quote from Alexa Bliss. And then we had Nia Jax. She had the fantastic moment at WrestleMania beating Alexa Bliss. But then the bully goes and prospers by cashing in and making the bully the bullied. Shut up, Alexa. We had the bullied. She's in the background there.
Alexa YouTube.
Having her pants pulled down by the bully once again, so the bully goes and prospers. I don't agree with that storyline whatsoever.
Well, I'll be honest, if that had happened to other people, I'd be upset by it. But I don't know whether, and I'm sure you know this from watching Raw lately, Gary. Nia Jax is very unlikable. Like, do you see are we meant to like her at the moment? Like, is she meant to be a good guy? Because
I think
without
she's
the
a
crowd,
heel at
I don't
the minute.
know.
She's a heel at the minute, isn't she? She's been very stern-faced and very...
See, isn't that weird? Because I kind of got the impression they want her to be a good guy, because she was in there. Majority of her matches have been against heels. So I thought, okay, you're making her a good guy. But she's very unlikable. So good luck with that. I feel like had there been a live crowd at Raw with Nia Jax and Kairi Sane wrestled, they'd have just booed Nia out the building. They'd have made the decision for him. But Nia here again was just, I don't buy the whole, I'm being bullied by that little person over there. I don't buy it from Nia. And I didn't buy it, and I was happy to see Alexa Bliss on this one night just burn the booking sheet and just become a world beater.
God, you've never been there, have you? I've been there where Nia was. Being called all sorts of names. It's horrible.
I absolutely have. I absolutely have, and I still am to this day. But it doesn't mean but I can't bring myself to align myself with Nia. Like, if we were in school and we were both getting bullied, I probably still wouldn't hang out with her. But just at a point.
Well, I'll tell you what, I've got control of this tier list, Gary, so I'm going to do a first compromise of the night.
Oh, gosh.
I owe you one back. You're saying the best. I'm going to put this in lovely, 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 just because of the narrative. But it was one hell of a moment. And it was in Chicago as well, which made the pop all the greater, because that Chicago crowd, that arena that Steve Austin fetishizes over with a wooden roof and whatnot. He loves it, so he does. He loves a wooden roof. It just made for a fantastic moment. And we're moving on now, Tom/Gary, to another one in terms of the pantheon of Money in the Bank cash-ins that deserves to be right at the top. If Ziggler would move, that would be lovely. There you go. Seth Rollins.
All right, okay. I sound like a broken record here. That's got to be the best.
It is the best.
Because it's an absolute moment. It's unheard of at WrestleMania to play this kind of buggery in the main event. It's unheard of. Like the WrestleMania main event up until like the year 2000 was sacred. This is where the star, the goodest of good guys, the ultimate hero, finally triumphs over adversity. And then obviously it's to WrestleMania 2000, WrestleMania 16, Triple H beat The Rock, and that all changed forever. But even so, there was still this element of this is still a rivalry being settled in the very top of the night. And then to have that at the end of the night, like that blows that out of the water as well. It was incredible.
And what made it better was it looked like it was a foregone conclusion that Roman Reigns was obviously going to beat Brock Lesnar to become champion. All of a sudden, Rollins, who lost earlier in the night to Randy Orton, of course, you forgot about Rollins. You forgot he existed. And down he came with the briefcase, cashed it in, said thank you to Roman on his way out. It was a lovely little moment if you picked up on it. Have you seen that one before? Everyone's shared it, haven't they?
Thank you very much. Thank you for the belt, Romulus. It's very kind of you.
But it was just that swerve that made the moment so good. And as you say, the WrestleMania main event, I don't know what we need to say about Seth Rollins cash-in. It's all been said, hasn't it? But we're going to move on now, Gareth, to another one that's a bit... Oh, it's a funny one, this. John Cena. Who was too proud to cash in on a weakened opponent in the spirit of Money in the Bank, so he had to challenge somebody ahead of time. That man was CM Punk at the Raw 1000 episode. Then, bloody hell, the star of Netflix's The Big Show, Paul White, he came down, got the DQ after Cena looked like he was going to tap out Punk, and the cash-in was failed. Ah,
it was a bit of a damp squib, this one.
It was.
You had an opportunity to make John Cena heel here that they never got again you could have had him just run out and be a dick with it. But the whole thing of I'm going to tell you when I'm doing it, Raw 1000, oh great, and they had a good match. It wasn't their Money in the Bank match, but it was good. And then Big Show throwing it out as a DQ. This is one of my least favourite cash-ins. So I'm gonna be nice and put it in just about bearable.
I was going to say just about bearable as well, because I think did they cave to the internet here? Is that a thing WWE does? It seems like something that's caved to sort of perception and fans' perspective.
I feel like they did that thing which they always do, where they kind of paint themselves into a corner. And they go, well, we're going to make this match happen. We don't take the belt off CM Punk, but we don't want to, we don't have John Cena lose clean. So why have you booked it then? Why have you booked it? Why have you done this?
Yeah.
But it's a weird one, and I think that they just put themselves into an awkward situation whereby they had to find a way out, and it was a pretty lazy way out. I wouldn't have done this at all. I wouldn't even have John Cena win the darn briefcase. Like, there's nothing to gain from a John Cena winning the briefcase. Although it was, am I right in thinking that this was during the year where like John Cena was in the run up to John Cena facing The Rock?
I do believe so, yeah.
And it was that whole thing of the whole year was John Cena can't get a break. Like, John Cena has just been John Cena's flattening his own curve. Again, he's just losing everything. And maybe it was like, hey, I've got a golden ticket to get back into it. And then doesn't get it and goes into another feud with the Big Show. Just about bearable for me still.
Yeah, but the funny thing is, if Cena did it properly in the spirit of Money in the Bank, he would now be the most world title reigns ever in the history of the world ever.
He would indeed.
Ric Flair would be crying. But he was too noble and it backfired, so it sucks to be you, John Cena. I can't believe I just said that. So next up, Tom, we're moving on to Rob Van Dam, ECW One Night Stand 2006. This is another example of a person who was being very noble and said, I'm not going to do it the dirty way, I'm going to do it the noble way. But there was a difference here because, of course, this was an ECW event. Cena was the opposite to ECW. RVD was Mr. ECW. How do you feel about Paul Heyman being the man to count the pinfall, stuff like that, that sort of threw the rule book out the window?
Well, I like that bit. That bit was great. That bit was very in keeping with ECW because Paul Heyman was like, well, as the owner, I'm authority here, so I can count the 3. So I liked that bit. I loved that whole cash-in. But you know what? Thing is, right? You've played Bean Boozled, haven't you, Gary?
I've never heard of what you've just said there. What the hell
it's the game where it's like those sweets, those beans, and you eat them, and they've all got different flavours in. You don't know whether or not they're going to be a nice flavour or a nasty flavour, and you'll have some, and there'll be novelty flavours. They'll be like, sometimes you'll get a watermelon, and you'll chew into it, and it'll taste like dirty socks, and like on the way down, and it's right. This was like this whole thing was. This was losing at Bean Boozled because you had Rob Van Dam beat John Cena in one of the greatest WWE title matches of the modern era, in that white hot Hammerstein ballroom. Everyone baying for the blood of Cena. It was the closest that we ever got to seeing John Cena as a heel, and it was so tantalizingly good. And then it was Rob Van Dam becoming the WWE champion. It was the moment that kick-started the return of ECW. And that is where you realise that you're not chewing watermelon, you're chewing socks. Because then it's ECW run by WWE, and we all know what happens there. And it's sad. But this was the moment, like in this moment, you've just placed the Bean Boozled bean in your mouth, and it's great. You think it's going all right. And I want to live in that moment. So I still want to put this. I want to put this in the best, but because of... Oh, sod it, it's in the best. I'm putting it
It's in the best. It's got to be in the best. But in terms of Rollins and Ziggler, I would say it's third, or is it second?
I would put it above Ziggler, but maybe behind Rollins. Maybe.
Behind Rollins, but above Ziggler. It was just that crowd. If Cena wins, we riot. The whole shtick with the T-shirt was fantastic.
So good.
Edge got involved as well, wearing a motorcycle helmet. That's a thing that happened. I forgot about that until
that bit was
now.
a touch. That bit was a touch overbooked. We could have done without that bit. But regardless, it was phenomenal.
It was still one hell of a... Because Rob Van Dam, he'd been around for like 5-6 years in WWE at that point. Never really got there. He had that stuff in the Invasion angle with Austin and Angle and people like that. And then he finally gets there a few years later. It was a great moment all the same. And then speaking about moments that were not great, we move on to Braun Strowman, Gary.
Okay.
Do you remember this?
Do you know what? Isn't it weird how you can sit and recall stuff from the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the noughties. I'm now fighting with my own memory to recall the Braun Strowman cash-in.
Well, let me tell you what happened, Gary.
Go on, Gary. Tell me what happened, Gary.
Braun Strowman, the monster among memes, as I used to call him back in the day, because every single time we saw him, he was lifting something heavy and creating a memeable moment. He was turned heel by WWE because Roman Reigns beat Brock Lesnar at that SummerSlam to capture the Universal title. Braun had the Money in the Bank briefcase. Roman needed a challenger, so they turned Braun heel, aligned him with heel McIntyre and heel Ziggler. That was a 3-man stable for one point. And then they had a Hell in a Cell match where the stipulation started to nosedive. Do you remember what happened in this Hell in a Cell match, Gary?
You're going to have to tell me. I wish I could remember.
There was an interference.
How bad is this?
There was an interference right at the end by Brock Lesnar, who caused a Hell in a Cell match to be thrown out. Now, this obviously was nowhere near as bad as what Rollins and The Fiend did inside Hell in a Cell, but it was the start of the nosedive of the Hell in a Cell stipulation. So now your memory's been rejogged. What you're saying?
Stick this in the bin. Stick this in the bin. This was just one of those. It was someone that Braun Strowman doesn't need to be the monster. He was the monster in the bank. Of course he was. He doesn't need it. He doesn't need that, and it just feels like a waste. Because you could have just booked Roman and Braun Hell in a Cell because of reasons. Like the whole thing with the Money in the Bank briefcase is it's at its most successful when it is building somebody to the next level, when it moves somebody up a couple of notches. Braun's already there. Cena was already there. Didn't need it. Like, it was, and it felt throwaway to do it that way. It was one of those matches where, now I recall it, it was like, were there other plans for the Money in the Bank briefcase that they just and they couldn't do them for whatever reason? So they went with this instead as a last minute thing. I don't know. Either way, stick it in the bin. Stick the monster in the bin.
That whole Braun Strowman heel turn was absolutely baffling, because you go back to 2017 when Braun Strowman, you were saying looking for a reason to have a Hell in a Cell match between Roman and Braun. Braun tried to murder Roman on several occasions. There's your reason there. Go and have the match after that. But then the heel turn. Oh, why does a man that big need backup? They should have... It takes you back to No Mercy 2017, where Braun Strowman lost to Brock Lesnar via one F5. And you just think, if Braun had beat Lesnar then, and he was Universal Champion, how much better would it be than Braun now being Universal Champion with no chutzpah whatsoever? It just beggars belief, doesn't it, Tom? It does, yeah. So now we're going back to last year, Tom/Gary, and we have Brock Lesnar. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
This was bollocks from the start. We go back to Money in the Bank 2019. Lesnar wins the briefcase when he wasn't even in the match.
He just rocked up and went, oh, by the way, this is mine now, lads. Away you go. And now the one redeeming thing about Brock Lesnar's run as Mr. Money in the Bank was him turning it into a ghetto blaster. That's the one redeeming factoid here. Another guy that didn't need it. But the difference, I don't know, the one sort of somewhat saving grace, I mean, this isn't getting just above bearable. The one sort of saving grace is, it's that idea, and Paul Heyman, as he is always so eloquent at doing, put this over on television by saying, like, listen, if you're a champion in WWE, I'd be terrified right now, because the most dominant wrestler in the history of this company can come for your belt whenever he wants to. Like, literally whenever he wants to. He can be having his tea, he can put his fork down, and he can be out beating you up any minute now. Like, that bit is intriguing. But then lo and behold, we kind of just saw it. He just beat Seth Rollins with somewhat the greatest of ease. Seth won it back eventually, but didn't do anything for me seeing Brock with the belt again. Like, it doesn't, like, now, as it doesn't now. Like, seeing Brock Lesnar back at the top doesn't do anything for me anymore. Like, we need a long break from Lesnar. A long break. For him to come back with any sort of intrigue again. But this particular cash-in, again, it's a waste of that great opportunity with the briefcase. But I'm putting it in just about bearable, as there was far more intrigue about Lesnar having the briefcase than there was with Braun, who just went, I've got some mates now who are going to look after me. Oh, and by the way, here's exactly when I'm cashing it in. I bought you a train ticket to get you there. Like, it just, I don't need that. The jeopardy of Lesnar puts this just above bearable.
What did you make of, just going back to when Lesnar won the briefcase, what did you make of Ali's role in that? Can you remember that? When Ali was top of the ladder and he froze in time for about 5 minutes as Lesnar walked down to the ring?
Officially, the last great moment of Ali. Like, just killed the guy. Like, why even put him in that situation? I know with wrestling we have to accept the fact that never get a wrestler to change a light bulb, because it'll take them 4 hours to get up the pigging ladder. So like you kind of forgive a lot of stuff, but to have Ali up there, what's happening? Is he coming for me? Oh, best keep an eye on it. So that guy got run over by a steamroller in Austin Powers, who just stood there going, no! It was rubbish. Ruined. It's 26 minutes on the camera, by the way.
Yeah, I know. We're fine, Gary. We're fine. Don't worry. I'm going to count down with you. We're just checking. Can you remember the match that Lesnar cashed in on Rollins? What match did Rollins just have? Because this was a bit of an acid trip for me when I read it back.
It was it not against Baron Corbin? Was it not that Corbin's rules match with Lacey Evans as the ref?
Corbin and Lacey. Yeah, Corbin and Lacey against Becky and Rollins for both the titles.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
How mental's that?
That was it, because Becky got taken out by the End of Days. And then, so she wasn't in the picture when Brocky turned up and went, "Way bang, F5."
Yeah,
Thank you very
madness,
much.
absolute madness.
Weird times.
So there it is, in just about bearable. So next up, we're going back to Curly Cuh 2011. We have Daniel Bryan winning the World Heavyweight Championship from the Big Show. What's your memories from this one, Gary?
Oh, this was Big Show and Mark Henry. Was it a chairs match?
It was a chairs match.
Just clattering each other. Both go down. Here comes Daniel Bryan, like pre-best wrestler ever, pre-beard, just kind of skinny boy Daniel Bryan just comes charging to the ring, becomes the World Heavyweight Champion. You know what? I was delighted. There was so much to love about this because it was so nuanced. This was the start of the heel turn for Daniel Bryan, the start of the maniacal yes chants. I think they started at this event, maybe they happened just before. I can't quite remember. But Daniel Bryan promised to save his cash-in for WrestleMania and then went, nope, I'll do it on the Big Show, who was knocked out, and then Bryan reacted like he just beat, I don't know, The Undertaker. All of them, all the Undertakers in a handicap match all at the same time. But I loved him at this time because he reacted like this for every win. I think he won a match by DQ when he was world champion, and he was outside the ring doing laps, doing all this. It was brilliant. Like, because that's if I was a chicken heel, that'd be how I'd be. I think I'd just be like, no matter, won, it's fine, it's all that matters. But this was I'm putting this up there at the best.
It's the bottom of the best tier for sure.
Bottom of the best. Or is it lovely? No, definitely bottom of the best. Oh, actually, I would even put this above Ziggler, maybe. No, the pop for Ziggler was great. I'm going to put
the pop for Ziggler was better.
Okay, I'll put this in the best. Great showing by Bryan. Hilarious banter. Big show, Mark Henry. It was good. Sad to see. Was it Mark Henry was world champion, wasn't he? At this point.
Yeah. No, I thought Henry... Did the Big Show beat Henry? I can't remember.
It was the end of the Hall of Pain, basically.
I think the Big Show defeated Henry in a chairs match, and then Bryan came down and beat the Big Show. Why was the Big Show knocked out, though? I can't remember. You'll know in the comments below.
Tell us in the comments, I'm sure you will.
Yeah, we're wrong every time with these tier... Well, I'm wrong anyway, every single time with these tier rankings. Nobody agrees with me ever. Anyway, so there we have Daniel Bryan back in 2011 in the bottom of the best tier. But next up, Gary, we're going back to 2009 and when CM Punk cashed in on Jeffrey Hardy.
Ooh. Now this, oh man, this was a good one as well. I'm nervous when we get too many of the best. So what I liked about this one was the jeopardy, in the sense that it wasn't just a case of CM Punk charges out there, hits his finisher, he's done. Like, Jeff put up a fight. Like, Jeff really clawed for it. And Jeff was so great in this moment. And my eyes were drawn to Jeff as this was happening, because you see Jeff clawing himself up to his feet in the corner. Like, he is spent. And Punk is out there. And almost like, and just apes exactly the same movements as he did with his first cash-in. Like, hands the briefcase over, takes his shirt off, starts rolling his hands. And it's just, there's Jeff Hardy just crawling back up. And Jeff Hardy, like, you get a feeling that maybe Jeff Hardy might be the one that survives this. But he doesn't, and Punk wins. I'm going to say lovely, lovely, lovely. I don't think it's as good as some of the other cash-ins we've talked about today, but it's still a solid cash-in moment.
I don't think we have to be worried about putting too many in the best, because a Money in the Bank cash-in, when it's done properly, is amazing. It's always an amazing moment. And I think this is, I'm going to say a big claim here. I'm going to say this is the best 1 minute match in WWE history.
Wow. Really?
We had... I think
you've clearly not seen King Kong Bundy versus SD Jones from WrestleMania 1.
I have, but yeah, less said about that the better. I don't know. But we had Jeff Hardy kicked out of a go-to-sleep attempt. He then rolled up CM Punk, and Punk kicked out of that. Then obviously Punk was going to win. But this was, again, just like the Bryan, as we were just speaking about there, the 2011 cash-in. This was the start of a heel turn for Punk. Because Punk was a babyface coming into this, and obviously Jeff was a babyface after just beating Edge in a ladder match, I do believe. Yep, in a for the World Heavyweight Championship. So this was the sort of a slow, nuanced thing with CM Punk becoming a heel, and I like nuanced things. I like it when it's just like a little shade here and there. And he said another word there. A little shade here and there. Not like too obvious. You know what I mean?
They take you on that journey, don't they? You don't want, if you go on a roller coaster, you don't want all the loops straight away. You want to get them near the end. You want to really go for a while there, and they kind of built nicely to that. The obvious storyline difference between them is Jeff Hardy, who's got a history of troubles, and you've got CM Punk, who's straight edge. So it's an immediate, easy story tell, and they told it well, and this was a good chapter from it. I think it's lovely, lovely, lovely.
Oh, is it lovely, 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 or bottom of the best? We'll put it at the top of lovely, lovely, lovely just for now.
Very tippity top of lovely, lovely, lovely.
I would advocate for it to go into the top. We'll see at the end of the video. But next up, we're going on to The Miz.
So this is Miz on Randy Orton, wasn't it?
Set the scene here, yeah, cashing on Orton after a beat. So Orton had been beaten down by the Nexus, but then also had a title defense against Wade Barrett, which he won thanks to the help of John Cena. And then The Miz cashed in, and it wasn't just a straightforward cash, and it was much like CM Punk and Jeff Hardy. There was a bit of a back and forth. Then ultimately, The Miz went and won. That child, that small girl, had a face like a slapped arse. One of the best moments in wrestling crowd history, maybe. But it was good, wasn't it?
It was good
for a cash-in.
It was good.
It might have left you with a sour taste in the mouth, like one of those beans, because it's The Miz.
Yeah, I think you immediately had a sour taste in your mouth. And by that point as well, from what I remember, and I may have a bad memory on this, because by this point, we talked about this at the start of our chat, Gary, like the Pavlovian response that people give to cash-ins, where it's the music of the guy hits or the girl hits, and out they come. You know what's happening. You know more than likely than not they're about to win the championship. So when Miz came out, I remember there was a reaction. I don't think it was the loudest. I don't think it was the most positive, because I think via Pavlovian response, people knew, Miz is becoming the champ now. Okay, I don't know. My memory may be incorrect on that, but I don't remember it being particularly as loud and proud as some of the ones that we've talked about tonight. And then obviously he went on to WrestleMania, and
we don't need to talk about that.
That was a thing that happened. That was. I'm gonna put this in meh.
All right, I was going to say the same thing as well. You can look at it from a standpoint of, it's The Miz, nuclear heat and all of that, but as you say, it wasn't really... I think it was when it sort of settled in and you realised, bloody hell, The Miz is world champion. I think that's when it set in. But it wasn't as big as it probably could have been. Yeah,
I think that he got lost in the shuffle a bit leading into WrestleMania. There were so many big things going on around there. Like, the whole story was The Rock and Cena going back and forth. The Miz was a bit player. Like, the WWE champion was an afterthought in the main event of WrestleMania. And then they tried to alter that by having him win by DQ, win by a draw, get a count-out victory. They did a double count-out, didn't they? Then The Rock restarted the match. And then The Miz survived and won. And then The Miz got beaten up by The Rock. It was a meh cash-in that led to, I'm sorry, Mike Mizanin, a meh run as champion, despite the fact that you were in the top of the tree at WrestleMania. Meh.
Yeah, the best thing about that reign was the promo package he got for that WrestleMania match. That was the best thing about his reign.
And the entrance with the awesome thing all inflated. Yeah. That was cool too.
Lovely balloons.
Lovely, lovely balloons.
But now we're going back to 2007 and a moment where Edge was like to Mr. Kennedy, would you mind putting that there briefcase on the line? Mr. Kennedy said, yes, I'll do that, Adam. I'll have no problem in defending it. But no, Edge went and took it away from him. Then we went on to SmackDown. It was Batista versus Undertaker in a steel cage. Mark Henry then comes down, lays down the Undertaker a bit more. Undertaker's bleeding. He's battered. He's absolutely cream crackered. And then who comes down? It's Edge, and he cashes in to become champion once again.
What I'm sad about is what could have been, because this was meant to be Mr. Kennedy becoming WWE champion. I listened to, I believe it was Grilling JR, where they did a whole breakdown of Mr. Kennedy and Ken Anderson, and obviously Mr. Kennedy got injured, and a very quick decision was made to fly Mr. Kennedy to Raw for that night to drop the briefcase, because they had to get the championship off the Undertaker, because the Undertaker was paggered. Stop me if you've heard this one before. And so the plan was going to be for Kennedy to do it, but then Kennedy got hurt, so it's like, okay, we're just going to give it to Edge. And Kennedy always says, I regret not speaking up, not suggesting other things we could have done instead of me just dropping the briefcase, because it all felt very sudden, and it felt sudden because it was sudden. In terms of like the cash-in, Edge's first cash-in was far superior to this because it didn't feel as rushed.
But this was money. It almost felt like Money in the Bank was made for Edge, the ultimate opportunist, and this was the ultimate opportunity to win the title. He went and did it, which is what I liked about it. Because Undertaker not only been through a steel cage match against the Animal, who walks alone inside a pit of danger, but he also got laid out by the world's strongest man, and then down comes Edge and wins the title. I thought it was great, me.
Where would you put this then? Because I
would put this in lovely, lovely, lovely. I think it's better than the Miz's.
Okay.
But not quite as good as maybe some in the best, obviously.
Okay, I will agree for it to go into lovely, lovely, lovely.
Just because of the tactics.
Yeah.
Do you like tactics in wrestling when something's like really obvious and logical?
And they make your breath smell nice.
They do. Which ones do you prefer? The green ones or the orange ones or the white ones? Or is there more now?
Big fan of the green ones.
I'm a green man as well. I love the green ones. But next on, we're going off to 2016. Mr. Gary YouTube and Mr. Dean Ambrose winning the title on a night where all three members of the Shield held the WWE World Heavyweight Championship.
I think for historical, this needs to be in the best. There's a lot of bests in there. Do you know what we're learning today? Cash-ins are great, aren't they?
They are fantastic, aren't they? Whoever came up with that is a genius.
Somebody said we need a Royal Rumble type match, but for people with attention deficit. So let's just have it so they can have a match whatever they want. So that this is the best. The historical nature of it, where the fact that within like a 2-minute and 30-second window, all three members of the Shield hold the WWE Championship. Like a moment like that is lightning hitting the earth, and it won't happen again. And I love the significance of it. And we talk about nuanced storytelling, don't we, Gary YouTube? We love a bit of nuanced storytelling.
We do, yeah. We love it.
It's Seth Rollins. It's the hubris of Seth Rollins, who wins the championship, but then has it stripped from him in the same fashion that he won the first one. Like, it's that story that's being told there, and it's Roman Reigns, initially, even before that, sort of finally coming head-to-head with one of his former teammates, getting usurped by him, and then the other one sneaking in and going, nah, sod you both, I'm having this. It then led to a weird title reign for Dean Ambrose, and
because he's so wacky, so funny, getting out of taxis with a World Heavyweight Championship and leaving it in chip shops or whatever he did. He's so wacky.
They really didn't get it, did they? They did not get it. It was hilarious. But I want to put this in the best. I think it's the significance of it it cannot be understated. Something like that will never happen again.
But there was more nuanced storytelling. It was Rollins, because obviously Reigns walked in as champion after winning the belt at the WrestleMania beforehand off Triple H. But Rollins got back the title he relinquished. He didn't lose it. He had to give it up because of his pagged knee. And then Ambrose got his revenge on Rollins for breaking up the Shield all those years ago. Wow.
All the chef's kisses.
In terms of the best, I think it's below Rollins. I think that's fair to say.
Below the Rollins one, yeah, that's fine.
Is it above Rob Van Dam?
Yes. Brave, I know, but I'm for significance, yes. Oh, that's gonna. I think that'll upset a lot of people. I'm gonna get some messages from Rob Zakowski.
I'm not going to tell you where I've put it. Gary can't see the tier list. I'm not going to tell him where I've put it. But it's in the best. It's in the best all the same. That's all that matters. And then we're going back to CM Punk's first one, back in 2008. It's when he took it off Edge. It was at the start of a Raw. Edge comes out to gloat about SmackDown having both world titles. It wasn't obvious what was going to happen here. Batista comes down, he lays out Edge, and out comes CM Punk to win the title off the Ultimate Opportunist, which I thought was a lovely bit of a bittersweet. What's the word I'm looking for here? It was Edge getting it done to him. Takes me home medicine. Yeah.
Hubris. It was hubris again, wasn't it? We talked about it with the Seth Rollins one. I remember watching this first time round, and I think I watched the video of the moment over and over and over again. Must have watched it 30 times because I was a CM Punk fan. Loved CM Punk when he was in ECW, the WWE version, and there wasn't much to love about the WWE version of ECW, but that was one of the things. And to see him ascend like that blew my mind. And it was a really cool moment, and it was as we said, it was Edge getting done to him what he had done to others. He was the first man to do the cash-in, and I liked it. I think that, you know, if we're going to weigh it in as well with what went on after, CM Punk's first world title run been better? Yeah. He was he was sort of set up as a bit of a fish out of water, which was a real shame. And I'd like to have seen him do a bit more with that run, but which is why I'm going to cap it a lovely, lovely, lovely.
I think it's a lovely, lovely, lovely one as well. It was just the fact that it was CM Punk getting a world title. That was the sort of like, wow, that's a thing that would never ever happen surely in Vince McMahon's head, but it did. And then we're sticking with CM Punk, but this time he's getting the title taken off him, and this time we have Alberto Del Rio cashing in on CM Punk.
Ooh, now this one,
which is not one of the better ones, Tom. I don't care what you say.
No. I was going to say this one wasn't particularly grand. It set off this weird.
Should I set the table for you?
Yes. Gary, set the table.
So we had CM Punk versus John Cena it was after Money in the Bank where CM Punk buggered off and then came back way too quick. It was him versus Cena for the World Championships with Triple H as the special guest ref. Punk wins even though Cena's foot was on the rope. Triple H did the count and he didn't see it and all that malarkey. And then Kevin Nash came down, Tom. Kevin Nash came down and he attacked CM Punk. And that's when Del Rio came down and won his first WWE World title with an enziguri.
There you go.
Why was Kevin Nash there?
Because he got the text message. Do you not remember? Got a text message. Turns out that Kev sent it to himself. Was that the story? Kev went on Triple H's phone and went, Kev, you are brilliant, mate. Go out there and beat up Punk. Emoji. That was crap. They found a really wonderful way to water down CM Punk, and because he was so hot at that point, to the point where Triple H was like, hey, let's do a story, me and you, and it was just, God, who sent the text? Who was in my office at the time? I know how we make CM Punk cool. Let's build a storyline around admin. Jeez. and let's get Kev in this, and Kev could put over CM Punk. Oh wait, Kev's remembered he's got a bad quad. He ain't gonna wrestle CM Punk now. So all of this, you ended CM Punk's title reign using Kevin Nash, with the plan being that Nash is gonna put Punk over, and then the match doesn't happen anyway. So Triple H rolls his sleeves up and goes, all right, I'll crack on. And then Punk doesn't even beat Triple H, and then they're mates afterwards. Oh God, it sucked. It really sucked.
It's the bottom two tiers, but it's which tier you go for,
because it's
Gary?
CM Punk, and I like CM Punk, and I want to put it at the bottom of just about bearable rather than get in the bin. Oh, actually, no, mind you, it's Alberto winning as well. Which is another bin. Element of
this.
It's
gone in the bin.
Put it out. Gary, put it in the bin. Sorry, Punk.
It was too bloody convoluted, and as you say, it really did. Why? I don't know. Let's move on. Baron Corbin.
Bin.
Absolute bin worthy.
Hey, the clue is in his name.
So we had the match where we had the likes of the ladder match. Sorry, we had like Nakamura and Styles and people of that ilk. You're thinking, wow, give them the briefcase, they'll do wonders. And then Corbin goes and wins. And then we had a SmackDown main event between Jinder Mahal, who was the champion, and John Cena. I think Mahal was the champion, maybe. Anyway, Cena was nailed with the briefcase, and then you want to talk about it some more? I just find it so fun. It was all around the time where Corbin sort of... Was it that thing on Twitter where he replied to somebody in a not too polite way, and then that sort of trashed his prospects for a while there?
Yeah, I seem to remember he had... he was building to a match with Cena, and it ended up being like a really quick throwaway match with Cena. I think it was with
Cena won.
And Cena just clattered him. I seem to recall.
Cena won, yeah.
But it was, I can't remember the ins and outs of this particular match, but all I know is that, as you said, you've got this star-studded Money in the Bank ladder match, and Corbin wins. You have gone to a 5-star Michelin restaurant and ordered a cheese sandwich. Look, I found it infuriating. Like, there was... Right, who's Corbin got pictures of? Right. Who's Corbin got pictures of?
He is tall and he is handsome and he's got tattoos and a lovely shaped head. All the women want to kiss him, Tom. That's what Vince McMahon said.
The women want to kiss Baron Corbin. Of course they do, man.
Lick his scalp.
Of course they do, Vince, mate. Of course they do. Oh.
But yeah, just more about the cash-in itself. We had the match with Cena and Jinder. Corbin comes down, he hits Cena with the briefcase, and then is out-wrestled, out-manoeuvred by Jinder Mahal, who can't walk through doorways anymore because he's that bloody wide. He's rolled up by Jinder Mahal. There's all sorts of shenanigans with the ropes, I think, as well. But then, yeah, he's rolled up by Jinder. Not rolled up by AJ Styles or Daniel Bryan or any technical master. It's Jinder Mahal.
You couldn't hinder Jinder on this night. Right, for God. Right, Styles, Nakamura, Bryan, one of the hot roster, a hot roster at this point. What's your title match? Well, it's Cena versus Jinder Mahal and Baron Corbin interferes. Bin it, and set it on fire.
I tell you what. Speaking about Jinder, as we're sat here on the 22nd of April 2020, Gary.
Has he been released?
There's all reports that he's ready to come back, isn't there?
Okay. I thought
Get
you were going
him
to tell
back
me,
on Raw.
he's been released.
Oh, no. He's going to come back and have a world title feud with Drew McIntyre, isn't he? Surely.
I mean, okay, for all the nonsense that I've just spouted about Jinder Mahal, that is a little bow that you need to tie. Or at least acknowledge. I do not want to see Jinder and Drew fight at a pay-per-view for the WWE title, right? Let's have a Raw where Drew comes out. Hello, I'm Drew, I'm the champion. Here's Jinder. Hey, mate, remember 3MP? We're mates. Anyway, I want that. All right, mate, let's have a match now. Oh, I beat you really quick and clean. Well, that's done. Let's put you over there. Moving on. That's what it needs to be.
Just a shame that Heath won't be there to soak in the moment.
Heath will be back in
Bloody
5 years looking as built as Brock Lesnar when he'll become the WWE champion. It's fine.
He'll have eaten all of his kids. I've eaten my kids and now I'm hench. Anyway, we're moving on now to Money in the Bank 2019. We have Becky Lynch coming out of WrestleMania. She's the Raw and SmackDown Women's Champion. Becky 2 belts. Has a match with Charlotte Flair. She loses to Charlotte Flair thanks to Lacey Evans and a woman's right. I don't know what that was. Bayley comes down, brawls with Charlotte for a bit. Charlotte does a spear. Bayley sidesteps. She twats the turnbuckle, and then Bayley cashes in and wins it. And she's still holding it, right? No, I've said that completely wrong because Charlotte Flair won it at Hell in a Cell.
Yeah, Charlotte won it
Shut
back.
up, Ross.
Charlotte won it back, but then Bayley won it back from Charlotte. So
yeah.
you're in the same timeline. It'd be re. Nah. Just a bit there, innit? Just a bit. Just kind of happened. That one did. Just kind of happened. It was a bit of a blundery way to do it, but it just kind of happened.
Yeah, Lacey getting involved. This is when Lacey was a heel, of course. Lacey was doing out for me back then. She's obviously come on a lot now, and sort of her with the inspirational stuff and being a nice person. It works better than her being a heel for me. I don't know about you.
She needs to be a heel. She needs to be a heel.
Do you reckon?
The whole, like, I am a mum and I was in the army. It's just a bit dull. Like, in my opinion, like, there's, like, she's like a less cool Captain America. Like, and I got no issue with, like, I think double down, become a female Captain America, become Captain America. It just kind of feels half baked, but I think she's far more entertaining as a heel. I liked how she had Sasha written on her hand the other day with it crossed out. I like that. I like how you kind of set up your hand as a weapon. I like her as a heel more. I like her as smarmy heel more rather than I'm a mum and in the army. Boring. But Bayley winning, this felt like a bit of a happening. Didn't really, and we weren't quite at that Bayley yet, were we? We weren't at like the Bayley.
No,
that we
Bayley
have
wasn't
now.
heel. No,
Bayley wasn't there yet with what she was going to do there and then. But it was just there.
The pop, I watched it back just before, and the pop was bigger than you might remember.
Was it?
But still, and yeah, it was, yeah. But is Charlotte Flair taking one, not doing stuff for you, Tom? Ha ha, Charlotte Flair. Ha ha. No, me neither.
Nothing.
So next up, we're bouldering through with the big red machine. I don't know where the hell that came from, Gary, but we're here. Kane does not mess about. Kane won the briefcase at Money in the Bank 2010, I think it was. He held that thing for 49 minutes. 49 short minutes later, he defeats a very short man indeed, Rey Mysterio, who had just defended his title against Jack Swagger.
This was a meh. It was nice to see Kane win a world title.
It was. It was nice to banish the memory of 1998.
It really, and he had it longer than he did in
with
98
Steve
as well.
Austin when he held it for a day.
What we'd like to have happened then is have Kane come out and go, if I can't beat you, Ray, I'll set myself on fire. It was all right. It was. I think it was a shock on the night. The idea that, as you say, he's had it less than an hour, like very much like with Dean Ambrose, less than an hour, and going, all right, here we go, give me your belt, mate. And you could tell that, like, Rey Mysterio has always been really good at selling being battered. Like, his whole title reign in 05 was just big, 06, sorry, was just big men destroying him. And he did it really well. And here, you just felt like this is Rey getting the shoeing of his life. Because it wasn't, from what I recall, it wasn't just a case of Kane did a chokeslam and done. Like, Kane actually tortured him for a little bit before taking the belt.
Yeah.
So that added a little bit of a cool element to it. But in the history of Money in the Banks, this is one of the less memorable occasions. They referenced it on Raw this past week. With Rey Mysterio saying, hey, I know what it's like to be on the one side of the Money in the Bank, I'm going to be on the other side of it now. So I like they referenced it, but had they not referenced it, I probably would have forgotten that it happened. So,
tell you what, I was shocked that he won that match against Murphy.
I really enjoyed that match though. I thought
it was a good match, yeah.
I thought it was the best match on Raw that night. I thought those two really went for it. I was surprised to see him in the Money in the Bank. I was surprised to see him at the Performance Center. I thought he was poorly. But I was surprised to see him win the match. I thought it would have been nice to see Murphy do it, but Ray's still great. So I don't think he will climb the corporate ladder and win. But give us a 619 from one office to another or something. I don't know. Give us something daft with Rey Mysterio. Hurricane Rana off a printer. I don't know, something. I hope we get a Hurricane Rana off a printer now.
It's going to be that advert from the late 90s where Undertaker's, we're a family. That one. Someone gets thrown off a win.
No, it'll be like that. It'll be like we're a wholesome family entertainment where they're fighting through WWE HQ. It'll also be like the WWF video game from the Nintendo Game Boy, WWF Betrayal.
I had that, but I can't remember a thing about it.
You had to fight through like a WWE arena and Titan Towers to save Stephanie McMahon.
Oh, yeah.
So we're basically reliving Betrayal for the Game Boy. I might do a Twitch stream where I play it. We're reliving Betrayal for the Game Boy.
The only thing I can remember about that game was it just used to play Triple H's theme on a loop, didn't it? Did it? I don't know if I remember that correctly.
I think it might have done. There was one bit of music that just constantly went over and over. We'll do a Twitch stream in a bit and we'll play it. And we'll all find out together.
But as we say, gave Kane a proper world title reign finally after that bollocks where he held it for one day before Steve Austin took it off him. But as a moment, it is all right and nothing more. Next up, we're moving on to Damien Sandow, and I think this one speaks for itself. In the bin you go. This is the first failed cash-in?
Yeah, I think it is. It was the first time that it was a non-win. And what was sad was it felt like as the minutes wore on, Sandow's not winning this. Because he didn't win it immediately. And then him and Cena, at the opening segment of Raw, proceeded to have a full-blown match. And the longer it went, you went, he's not winning this. He's not winning this. And then he didn't. So what was the point?
It's the fact that Cena as well, where he's just like, you've got another up-and-comer. Oh, yeah. I know it probably wasn't Cena's call, but it's the semantics of the entire thing. Cena's a made man. A defeat to Damien Sandow here would not have harmed Cena in the slightest. It would have built Damien Sandow, but no.
It's that whole thing about painting yourself into a corner again. Like, if you weren't going to invest in Damien Sandow as the guy, why give him the briefcase? Why give him the briefcase? Give it to someone else. Like, if all you're going to do is have him win the briefcase just so he can lose in a 20-minute effort to John Cena, what's the point?
Yeah.
Let's not do it. Get in the bin. That is not how you money in the bank.
But next up, we're moving on to Carmella, who had to win, of course, the Money in the Bank briefcase twice, because the first time she won it, it was actually won by a man.
So they redid the whole match, didn't they? Just so
they did.
Carmella, in the history books, won the first Women's Money in the Bank ladder match. But the win itself
was frustrating, Tom. It was frustrating. That's the word you're looking for. Because God bless him, Mike Chioda, our favourite, I think my favourite referee, because nobody counted to 10 like Mike Chioda with such effort and such gusto in his sales. But in this cash-in, he must have seen a million cash-ins by the time this one rolled around. And Carmella's like, Michael, I would like to cash in my briefcase, please. Here you go. Here is the briefcase. And he wouldn't take it off her. He just kept shouting in her face, are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure you're sure? Are you really sure you want to do this, Carmella? Are you quite sure you want to do this? Then he had to go down to ringside and fully explain it to, I think it must have been Greg Hamilton. This is what's going to happen here. And the whole thing just took so long and took it out the moment. And I love Mike Chioda, but he ruined this cash-in, he did.
He really did. And I don't know why they decided to ask, was it playing on some sort of weird, like, pseudo storyline that we didn't know, that like Carmella is stupid? And I don't know. Like, yeah, that's the one thing that stood out to me when I watched this back, was that it took ages for Chioda to accept it. Like, why? What are you doing, mate? But then the win itself, like, you could tell it felt like a big deal to Carmella, which warmed my heart. Like, you could see that her beating Charlotte, even in this dubious manner, felt like a big deal for her. Like, it felt like a big thing to go to the top like that. Be that as it may, it's a meh. It's another meh.
It is a meh. I'll tell you why. It's a contextual meh. Because Asuka had just beaten Charlotte. Sorry, Charlotte had just beaten Asuka at the WrestleMania, and Carmella took the title off Charlotte, who had just beaten Asuka. So that just, I don't know about you, but it sort of like just put Asuka down a bit more. A little bit more than it already was.
It does sort of screw with the timeline a little bit, because obviously, Asuka couldn't get the job done with Charlotte, but Carmella on a slightly wounded. Who was it that beat up Charlotte? Was it
the Iconics? The Iconics debuted and beat down Charlotte. Because remember that when the Iconics were a thing, Tom? They were good, weren't they? They beat down Charlotte on the debut night, and then down came Carmella to cash in.
So it wasn't like, with the greatest respect to like Peyton Royce and Billie Kay, like it wasn't like wasn't like Asuka turned up and choked out Charlotte for that to happen. Like, we'd probably look differently on this cash-in had it been, instead of the Iconics running out and attacking Charlotte, had Asuka, a vengeful Asuka, come out and choked Charlotte unconscious. Different story maybe if that had been the case, but it wasn't. And as you say, it's one of those ones that moves her down the pecking order. Maybe bump it to just bearable then.
I'm going to say all right, because in all right we currently have, alongside Carmella, we have The Miz, Bayley and Kane. Is it any worse than all of them?
No, I don't think it is. I'd put it in all right then.
Yeah, I think we'll go all right.
Yeah.
So next up, we have Mr. Swagger cashing in his Briefcase, he went to the Raw after WrestleMania 26 and sort of went, oh, I'm going to do it. No, I'm not. Then turned up to SmackDown. The next night, I think Edge had just beaten down Chris Jericho, and then Swagger cashed in on a stricken Jericho with a lovely Swagger bomb to win. And he showed all... the thing that made this moment amazing or terrible, depending on your perspective of wrestling, was the lack of emotion Swagger showed when he won the World Heavyweight Championship. He had all the emotion of a brick.
It was weird. It was like he was this big, effervescent character before he won the title. And it's like the title poisoned his soul. Because the moment he won the belt, all the charisma drained out of him. And that was the case for the whole title reign. He was really dull. I don't know whether having that belt just made him miserable, or whether he was just told, go out there and be serious. Yeah, but there's serious, and there's, he stood up after winning the title and stood there in the same way that you'd stand in a queue for the post office. Just like looking a little bit annoyed at the situation and just wanted to crack on. I think that killed it for me. I think his reaction to winning it could have potentially killed his title run. There were other factors in there too, but that certainly didn't help.
I mean, we saw Hager in 5-Star Wrestling. If he wants to be flamboyant and showman-like, he can bloody well do it with the best of them. But here, it baffles belief the way they made him carry on. But yeah, where are you putting this? Because is it I don't know what to say.
Well,
is it all right, or is it just about bearable? That sort of area.
It's going to cause him to order another helping of French fries. But we're going to put it in just bearable.
Just bearable. I tell you what, the thing I did like about that cash-in was the way he turned up the Raw and went like, whoop, I'm not going to do it. And then nobody was really expected to turn up on SmackDown because he'd just been on that Raw. I liked that bit. But the rest of it was just a bleh.
Yeah. Did he lose to Rey Mysterio? Did he lose the belt to Mysterio?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
And then did Mysterio lose to Kane?
I think so, yeah.
Is that the closest... I've got no evidence of this. Is that the closest cash-in to cash-in ratio there's ever been? Like how one title reign was ended by a guy who then immediately lost it to a cash-in?
It must be. Let us know in the comments below if you've got more time to do research. So next up, Tom, we have one that's going in the best, but the question is, how far up the best is it going? Edge, the first one ever. Is it better than Rollins, or is it second? I'm going to say, personally, it's the second best cash-in of all time.
Oh. I'm hovering. Yeah. I think...
Yeah?
Do you know what? If Seth hadn't been at Mania, I'd have said this was the best cash-in of all time. But I'm going to go with you and I'm going to say second best. Because it wasn't at Mania. The fact that Seth was at WrestleMania makes it a bigger deal. But my God, there is millimeters between them. I'm an old wrestling fan. I'm an old man. And I remember watching this live. I remember it was the end of the Elimination Chamber. And it was John Cena had survived the chamber. It was down to him, Carlito, and Chris Masters.
The Masters of Cool.
And the Masters are cool.
They were, people might think, they shouldn't have been in a world world title elimination chamber, but they worked together and added something special to that matchup until Carlito turned on Masters, and then Cena beat Carlito.
And then it was all a foregone conclusion once he split them up. But then you've got Cena in the ring, face covered in blood. Vince McMahon is coming out as the chamber's going up. And Vince says this night is not over. And we're like, and we're not educated at this point as to what's coming next.
Yeah.
So then when he announces here to cash in his Money in the Bank briefcase, or words to that effect, Vince McMahon introduces Edge. Edge hands Vince the briefcase. And down goes Edge. And Edge walking down the ring. We see Cena in the ring, stood up, but like staring straight ahead with a bit of like a, are you kidding me, type face on him, covered in blood.
I can't believe it, like.
Edge walking down the ring, and from what I remember, he's pointing at Cena going, you're mine, you're mine. Oh, getting goosebumps thinking about it. The pop, Edge, I think it was Edge speared him. I think Cena kicked out.
He kicked out one spear.
Were volatile. Edge speared him again, pinned him. Edge is the WWE champion. You have Joey Styles on commentary, giving a classic ECW, he got him, followed by Edge has shocked the world. A line that just stays with you. Oh, it was great. Oh, I loved it. Watch it, and it was the first. And there is always something special about the first. It felt like a big deal. Loved it.
You're telling me, because I remember being at school and the internet exploded the night before. And everyone at school was talking about it. It was amazing. Because obviously that was the thing, like everyone knew of the Money in the Bank briefcase, but nobody quite knew what it meant and how it was going to be implemented into matches and whatnot. But yeah, it was just a fantastic moment. What a gimmick. Whoever created that is a genius.
The only thing that killed it, the only thing that lets it down, Edge lost the belt about 3 weeks later.
Yeah.
We forget that part. He had a live sex celebration with Lita on Raw. He had a ladder match against Ric Flair on Raw, or a TLC match against Ric Flair on Raw, which I seem to remember. And then he lost to John Cena, but he would win it back 1,000 other times, so that's all right. But that first one at New Year's Revolution, oh my God, what a
It was
time.
just how psychotic that kick out made Edge, that made the moment, Edge is great at being a psychotic
He really
bastard.
is. He's so
doing
good.
all that stuff, yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
I loved it.
But this one's going to be a bit contentious, Thomas. We have Sheamus from Survivor Series 2015. Because on one hand, we have the tournament for the vacant world title, and Roman, who everybody hated with a passion back then, he beats Dean Ambrose in the final to become champion. He's the world champion. Oh my God, the smarky nightmare has come true. We can't believe it. But then Sheamus comes out, and wow, Roman's no longer champion. Go Sheamus. But Sheamus was colder than an icy nipple, Tom, because earlier in that night, Sheamus was involved in a Survivor Series elimination match where he lost to a trio of Ryback, Kalisto, and Jey Uso. So he's gone from that to being world champion in the space of a couple of hours. But again, it was the moment in a vacuum was great, because we knew the machine was behind Roman. There he was. He was being made to say suffering succotash and cringy stuff like that at this time. He wasn't connecting for a lot of people. He goes and gets the title, but then Sheamus saves the day for all the smarky smarks and takes it away. Roman's left with that iconic image of him in the confetti with his head in his hands. But then it was Sheamus with the world title, and it was Sheamus with the world title, so it didn't quite work, because Sheamus was Sheamus. It was really weird. What do you make of it?
I thought it was like this. I'll explain it. I thought it was one of the most arrogant uses of the Money in the Bank briefcase. Right? It was arrogant because they beat for beat recreated what happened with Daniel Bryan at the SummerSlam the year before, I think it was.
2 years before.
Where there was the cash in there with Randy Orton involved. And the electricity when Bryan won and the absolute despair when Bryan lost. They thought, we can do that here. We'll do that with Roman. Second time in his life that Daniel Bryan has got something over like Rover, and WWE have tried to repurpose it to someone else. Trying to give Big Show the yeses. Are you kidding me? Right. That made me so mad. But and I'm pretty sure that there's someone online has done like shot for shot, one on one screen, one on the other, of Daniel Bryan winning the title at SummerSlam, the celebration, then the sudden pedigree and attack, and here comes Orton, and then the despair after. I'm sure they've recreated it bit for bit, and they've just gone, the Roman one had the wrong. It was arrogant. They just thought, oh, they'll get behind Roman. I seem to remember, it was just booze and laughter and na hey goodbye. Like, they couldn't care less. They couldn't care less. Like, it was, and Sheamus winning, I think there was a pop to an extent because it wasn't Roman winning. Roman wasn't leaving with the belt, so there was delight for that happening. I kind of want to put this in the bin for all of that, because it was a massive attempt at WWE trying to manufacture a moment for Roman Reigns that a guy that at that point wasn't clicking, desperately trying to manufacture something to garner sympathy, but we have no sympathy for the man who is backed by the corporate machine. There is for that reason, I kind of want to put it in the bin. I don't know how you feel on this.
I don't think it's bin worthy, because it certainly made you feel things. But as you explained it there,
made me feel like laughing. Found the whole thing hilarious.
Was that intentional though?
No,
or were they just that blind to what the fans...
They wanted me to be really sad, but I wasn't.
Yeah.
Roman like you say, the picture there, Roman in the confetti crying. Like, I'm sorry, that's funny. That's unintentionally funny. We just watched an old episode of SmackDown, me and Matthew, for the SmackDown Review podcast. And there's a bit with Steve Austin where he's talking and giving us an update on his neck surgery. And they want us to feel sympathy, like a bit of a bit of fight for Steve Austin, a bit of love for Steve Austin, saying he's going to come back fighting. But they're doing this bit with Steve Austin with his neck brace. You can tell he's in discomfort, and you're feeling for him. But behind him is a full-sized taxidermy deer that is in perfect camera shot the whole time. And then Steve Austin's going, "Yeah, I have my neck fused, and doctors say I don't know if I'll be able to do this and do that." And I'm like, move the deer, because that's killing all of this. And the bit, I found the whole thing a bit silly, and the bit with Roman in the confetti crying was the deer behind Steve Austin for me. It's just like, all right, you are so desperate to get us behind this guy, and you're pushing too much. You're too needy. You're too needy. Okay, I won't. I'm happy to compromise though, and not put this in the bin.
I think it's just I'll keep it out the bin, because I don't know, just because it's the smarky smart in me, but I remember just laughing. But I know that's not the response they wanted, but it's the response they got.
Yeah.
So at least you wouldn't say. It's hard. It's a hard one. That's going to cause a few ructions in the comments. I know it is.
And you know what? I'm happy to defend them. I stand by that.
So speaking of that 2013 SummerSlam Cash-In, we move on to that. This is the final one. That makes no sense at all. SummerSlam 2013. Bryan versus Cena. Triple H is the special guest ref. Guess what happens? Triple H gets out his golden shovel, pedigree to Bryan after he beats Cena. Then the freshly authoritarian, the freshly authority man, the stable and the wrestling. Randy Orton comes down and wins. Him and Triple H stand tall. The authority era really kicks off into fifth gear, top gear, whatever you want to call it. Sixth gear. My car's got a sixth gear. What do you make of it, Tom? Gary?
Oh, well, Gary, it's a weird one, this, because I've just talked about it quite a lot in somewhat glowing terms, and there was this triumph and tragedy through it all. But it was kind of what it represented, which still irks me to this day, which is WWE genuinely had no intentions of getting behind Daniel Bryan. No intention of backing
Not at this
Bryan.
point, no.
No. And they thought, oh, this is a phase, this will bubble over. Like, it was only a few months after this, they gave Big Show the yes chance. So like, oh, they're popular. Oh, we don't want Bryan. Let's just give him... And it took like almost a metaphorical mountain being moved for WWE to go, all right, fine, we'll put him in the main event. And it was unlike anything I've ever known. And I don't believe for a second when WWE try and retcon this and go, that was the plan all along. No, it wasn't. It wasn't. Nah. You cheeky little rainbows. It wasn't the plan all along. You wanted Big Dave and Orton in the main event of WrestleMania because to you that was money. And it wasn't. We want Bryan. And you literally had to kowtow to give us Dave Bryan. Give us Dave, Bryan, and Randy. But at this point, there was no intentions on him being the guy. And that, on the night, that annoyed me. But I'm able to look back and enjoy that a bit more because of what Daniel becomes, and because of the absolute dickheadishness of the whole thing, and how they set us up for such an almighty fall. This was NXT do this all the time now, where they flash up the little credit logo in the corner, and then something dramatic happens. Like, this was like that before they were doing that, to the point of even having like the fireworks and all of this going off. and then you do it. Like, you might as well have had the little credit appear in the corner and then done it. Like, it is so dickheaded. I kind of love it.
That's the thing, isn't it? Because you can read all the reports that Vince McMahon wanted to do Batista versus Randy Orton in the main event of WrestleMania 30. But all of this, you had this, and then the Royal Rumble where Bryan was just unceremoniously booted out. Or was that the one with Ray? Which comes first? I can never forget.
It was the one. It was the Ray one was where Bryan wasn't in it.
Ray was 2014. Yeah.
Bryan wasn't in the Rumble at all for that, and that was why Ray got booed.
The return year, the following year is when he was dumped out.
The following year, I think he was like halfway through, less than halfway through, he was hoofed out.
He was just dumped out, yeah. Because you look at this SummerSlam, and then the Rumble after that, and it was just all these moments that knocked you down so much that made the WrestleMania moment so much better. And obviously, it's played out quite nicely for WWE, but they didn't intend it for this to happen. But I can look past that, Tom. I don't know about you. I can look past what they wanted to do.
I can look past it. Like there's enough silliness going on in the world right now without having to get too het up on wrestling.
And I'm gonna go somewhere in the best, because in the end, when you look back at what transpired, it all came together and it all worked.
Yeah, I think I'd probably put it in the best as well. I think at the time, let's see, this would have been, I would have been 30, 29 I would have been when all this happened. Probably would have been a bit angry about it, but as I've got deeper and deeper into my 30s, less really gets me angry now. But I can look back. It's just mortality mainly is the thing that makes me angry. But I can look back on it and go, you know what? It all panned out the way it was meant to. It was a hell of a moment. It was a hell of a twist. Let's stick it in the best. Let's stick it in the best.
How far up the best do you think we're going?
Okay.
Do you think it's better than Daniel Bryan in 2011? Yes.
Yeah, I think it's better than the Bryan one for the twist.
Do you think it's better than Dean Ambrose?
Oh. Yes, I do.
I think that's as far as we can go, because the next one in the best is Dolph Ziggler, and I reckon Ziggler's better than this one.
Let's leave it as leave it there. Ziggler got a lot of love in this. The Ziggler one got a lot of love.
That was the thing. It was like, back then he was very much on the up and up, but since then the character's been just unceremoniously killed so many times. I've just stopped caring.
Just absolutely wiped out. Yeah, but sorry, Dolph.
But there we have it. There's our. Just for the final couple of minutes of this video, let's rank. Well, go through the rankings basically, Gary. We have the bin, which is Braun Strowman, fully deserved. Alberto Del Rio, fully deserved. Baron Corbin's failed cash-in, and Damien Sandow's failed cash-in. Happy?
Very happy with that. Everyone deserves to be in the bin.
Just about bearable, Jack Swagger on Jericho, Brock Lesnar's more recent one, the very recent one, John Cena and Sheamus from 2015.
Yeah.
Happy?
Good.
Then we have All Right. We have Carmella's convoluted one with Asuka being, Asuka's sort of standing in the entire grand scheme of things being involved. Then The Miz, Bayley and Kane. All right with that?
Yes, I'm fine with that order as well. That's fine.
Then we have Punk in 09, Alexa Bliss, which seems like it might be a bit too high. I don't know. Then we have Edge in 07 and then Punk in 2008. They're all in lovely, lovely, lovely. Is Alexa Bliss too high there?
Maybe move her down one.
Move her down one. I'll put her in All Right. That seems a bit better. And then just as my camera has 1 minute to go, Gary, we have the best, which working upwards in ascending order. We have Bryan in 2011, Ambrose in 2016, Orton in 2013, Ziggler, RVD, then Edge, then the best of all time, which is Seth Rollins. There we have our tier rankings for Money in the Bank. With 40 seconds to go, Mr. YouTube, with your Money in the Bank briefcase, any closing thoughts?
I'm in the top tier.
Yeah, you are.
Money in the Bank.
You special boy.
Money in the Bank is without a doubt one of the coolest concepts WWE ever came out with, outside of the Royal Rumble. Genuinely, it is, and it's made lots of fun memories. Here's to many more.
I agree with everything he said there. Thank you for joining us for this tier ranking. We will see you next time. Wave at the camera, Gary.